What's going on, guys? Welcome back to Chaotic Minds. As always, it's your boy Gus,
And the midget.
and holy cow, I had to stop myself because I didn't want to have to redo this section again.
A
Oh,
lot's
this,
gone on in the last week.
yeah, you are not kidding. Like, I'm don't, I don't, I don't, I can't, I don't. Ah, jeez. There's just so much shenanigans and stuff that has happened over the last week, and it's just Jiminy Christmas is 2020 over yet? Please,
We've got about a month and a half left of 2020, and it needs to go.
why does 2020 itself feel like
3
10
years?
years have gone by?
Because we've aged that much in 2020.
I mean, you're not wrong. With all the hijinks and shenanigans and all the bull shnikes that's been going
Yay!
on, it's just like,
It
why?
seems a lot longer. It seems like 2020 is taking a lot longer than it should have. We've been stuck in the month of March for, I don't know, this is the 11th month of the year. So, yeah, about 8 months we've been stuck in March.
Yeah. And you know what else we've been stuck with?
Children.
Distance learning.
Oh.
I mean, you're right, but you know,
Distance learning or remote learning, as they like to call it to make it seem less like they're pissing us off,
well,
is where your students,
children.
I love them to death, and it might be to the death some days, but they stay at home and do their school online, which
Suppose they're supposed to.
I get is a novel concept and a great idea for those parents who can afford to stay home or have somebody stay home all the time to keep them on track. But let's face it, teenagers don't do their work. And if you hear two of them come out of their room, that's because they're distance learning in their own room right now, so that we can do this for you lovely, lovely listeners.
Well, it's not even that. The main problem that I have with it is if they were teaching the way that they used to, like when you and I were going to school, I wouldn't have a problem with helping them. I would not have an issue with giving them a hand.
Common con- Common Core can go the way of 2020. Die in a dumpster fire.
But that's the problem. It's Common Core. Add into the fact that my oldest
Actually,
seems to.
hold on a second. While we're on the subject of Common Core, I am going to interrupt because my children do not like Common Core either. Because our oldest, as he was probably going to say, is a freaking genius when it comes to math. And the kid can do numbers in his head, and he would always get low grades because while he wasn't showing his work, he's like, why? It's a simple math problem. It's this times this plus this equals this. No Common Core needed. They refused to do Common Core.
Actually, what I was going to say was he's at least trying to learn and use Common Core like he's supposed to. But like he said, it doesn't make any sense. But I'll sit there and I'll try to help him. And yes, my son, my oldest, is wicked smart, as my mom would put it. She's from Boston, if you can't tell. Um, but I'd sit there and I'm like, okay, well, this is this is how you do it. Well, no, that's not how we do it. Okay, are you looking for the answer or are you looking for a guess? Well, this is how it says. This is what it says. Well, then that means you're looking for an answer. This is the answer. No, it's not. Okay, then, genius, what is the answer? Well, you got to do this and this and this and this and this. I'm like, or conversely, you could just do this and you get this answer. Right? Why go the route of 15 to 20 steps when you can just you can do it in like
A direct route.
3 at most.
And then he tells us, well, the teacher wants us to do it in
I
Common
don't give a
Core.
fudge sticks. There's a reason why I was not allowed to go to any of the parent teacher conferences after I went ahead and I helped uh, our oldest with his math homework. It got sent back the next day with a bunch of red marks and said, "No, that's not right." Even though math was being shown, work was being shown,
And he got the right answer.
and they're like, "Well, that's not how we're teaching it. You need to. This is the way." And so I very politely responded that Common Core is a piece of shit. It makes no god blessed sense, and I'm going to teach my children how to do math correctly. And I was not allowed to go to any parent teacher conferences after that.
Ironically, that same teacher has that note framed in their office.
Did they really?
Yes.
That's awesome. I did not know. How did you find that out?
Because I'm friends with said teacher on Facebook.
Oh.
Because they hate Common Core just as much as we do.
Oh. Wow. I've not gotten anything that I have not gotten anything like that
Granted,
framed before.
he whited out the curse word that was in it. But
may have put a curse word in there. I don't remember.
You put the F word in there.
Did I?
Yes.
Oh. My bad. Kinda.
And he didn't blank out the F. He just did the UCK in asterisk.
That's the reason right there. That right there is the reason why I say effing. Instead of saying, the actual word, and I'm like, if I'm typing something out and I don't want to curse, or if I'm writing something down and I don't want to curse, I will say effing. EFFIN. And people, they get what I'm saying, but it's not saying the actual hard F. I don't know. Oh, man. But yeah, this Common Core, this distance learning thing is more difficult because they're not being taught the same way that we were being taught. Like, if I could go ahead and if they were being taught the same way that we were being taught when we were going to school, I would have no issues with helping them out. Get stuff done. We could knock stuff out in like an hour or two, right?
Yeah.
For the entire day. But instead, they're like, "Oh, hey, you need to do it this way, and then we're learning this." So you're reteaching something that they learned last year.
Which is funny because now that they're in Littleton public schools, we don't have that problem. The teacher's like, however you come up with the right answer, show your work. If it's the right answer, cool.
Really?
Yeah.
Dope. I didn't know that. But it gets to the point where it's like, okay, look,
2 plus 2 is 4, not 100.
you can't get 8 from 10 perfectly. Because that was something that I saw. And it seems like we're diverting everything from problems with distance learning to problems with Common Core, and I don't want to do that.
Well, it's a huge part of it because we're the ones that are having to take over the teaching job. Where yes, granted, now they straighten things out and all of their classes are live, so it's going to be like they're still in person in school
Ish.
But they still need help with their homework and they still need direction on if they have a question they can't get the teacher's attention, because let's face it, any classroom you walk into, there's 25 to 40 students on a normal basis.
Well, now
during COVID, however, there's only been like 15 to 20 depending on the size of the classroom, because you got 6-foot distancing, you got the cubicles, and
I've actually not seen what those are supposed to look like.
They're like clear cubicles, and like the children are sitting in boxes, basically.
That's what I was going to say. Oh, so we're putting them in little see-through prisons, huh?
Talk about fishbowl.
Yeah, you ain't kidding.
But no, I mean, it goes along the lines of, having to learn things that we haven't dealt with in over a decade or more.
I You're correct. Never mind.
That's all I was gonna say.
I did math wrong.
He did math Common Core.
I was like, I have been out of school less. Wait a second.
But no, I mean, it goes along those lines. We're the ones that are having to pick up the slack. Whereas I do applaud the teachers and I do thank them for everything they're doing and, adjusting because they have kids too and they have to adjust to not only distance learning for their students, but distance learning for their students at work.
Well, also let me say this real quick. Yes, I appreciate what the teachers are doing and all that, but I swear to God, if you mark a child absent from not checking in, and yet all of their stuff is turned in, they are there for the in classroom stuff. I may just scream.
And that happens quite often. I actually get calls almost daily about one of my kids, one of our 3 kids being absent, and they were there doing the stuff. The only one who checks in and doesn't really go to the live stuff is our daughter because she turns off her camera and that's how she gets marked absent because she doesn't like being on camera. Which I told her, go for it. If they mark you absent, I'll say something. And that's been a constant fight this year during distance learning is because
Well, we
she
need to
doesn't
make
like.
sure they're actually here.
And that's the thing is like I told the teachers and the vice principal and stuff at her school, my daughter does not like to be on camera because you guys can't control the bullying. Even on distance learning, she's still getting teased about her looks. So yeah, suck it. You can suck a big fat left nut and go the way of a dumpster fire and go away. I was going to say something really, really bad, and I didn't want to be that mean.
Offend the censors?
Offend the snowflakes.
There's that too. But no, it's I can see the benefit of it. But at the same time,
keeping our students safe is number one priority.
At the same time, you can't expect everything to go as smoothly as you want it to if there are going to be these issues. If there are going to be, like the other day, one of the kids' teachers didn't put up the work until like for the entire day until like 30 minutes before it was supposed to be have been turned in, and then they want to get all pissy that, well, your child didn't turn this work in. Well, maybe if you hadn't posted it 30 minutes before it was due, this wouldn't have been a problem.
Or another personal favorite of mine, when my kids' hands get so tired from typing and dealing with all that all day because it's all on computers right now, I will take over and I will type for them. Making sure that they have their punctuation, not completing their work for them, taking the answers and just putting them down.
Pretty much being dictated to.
Yeah, basically scribing it. But it's just like I did that for our daughter on an assignment about her art project. Her art teacher is very particular about proper punctuation, proper sentence structure,
which doesn't make
full
any
sentences.
Which doesn't make any sense because they're an art teacher.
Exactly. But, I understand, which we did. And we did the work and we turned it in and then the teacher bounced it back at about 11:30 that night. Not an hour later, not a couple hours later, not at the end of the school day, 11:30 at night.
So, pretty much well after
it was due.
No, well after school had ended.
And her daughter saw it and got upset because she kicked the assignment back saying that it wasn't complete. And it's like, yeah, it was. I'm the one that typed it up. And she expects our daughter to redo it. And I'm like, no. If y'all are having computer issues when you open an assignment and it shows up blank and the parent is telling you, yes, that assignment was done, my kids ain't really doing shit.
Here's what I would do in that situation. If I would have known that right then and there, here's what I would have done. I would have responded by resubmitting what was due or what was needed without having changed anything and just put a little note in the bottom. It said that would say something along the lines of, "These are full, complete sentences. You're an art teacher. Go fornicate with thine self."
No, it was that she didn't do it at all, that we turned it in blank.
Then we need what you need. What there should be an option for turning in work like that. In that case, because I know that we've here in the school district that we're in, there's been problems with multiple parents and multiple students having that happen. There should be an option to not only submit it via whatever it is, Google Classroom or whatever, but also be able to have a direct line of communication and email it straight to the teacher if there's an issue or if it comes up blank.
Yeah, and that's the thing is like we get told, "Oh, go ahead and submit it through the email," and then the teacher never grades it, and then still marks it as an F. And then they can erase the email and say they never got anything. Or
They can erase the email from their end. However, you have proof that you
yeah,
sent it because it would be in your sent folder, and especially if you turn on the delivery notification, you can do that and it can tell exactly when it was sent and when it was received. And then they don't have a room they don't have any room to stand on
but we
or
have to
leg to
submit
stand
it.
on.
We have to submit it through Google Classroom.
I understand that, but what I'm saying is, if they're having issues with work coming in blank, even though kids have done the work and all of that, then there should be an option to um, go ahead and
And I get what you're saying. You know,
email it
as
in,
a backup.
like how it was if you go to college.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can turn in your work online, but you also have a direct line of communication with your professor.
Half the time you don't get the direct email from the teacher. It's a do not reply to this email address. Bless you.
Hey,
It's a do not reply email from the teacher, so you don't get their
oh,
email
so it's an
address.
automated thing.
No, they send it, but they lock their email address so you can't send them emails.
Then you get a hold of the email via other means. There are other ways,
I
and they're all
started.
legal. They are all legal.
I
So
started
don't.
like the boys. I don't have to worry about that because all I have to do is make one phone call. I have a direct cell phone to Miss Barnello, who is the best IEP department person at Littleton, to let her know that yes, they did this and it was submitted, and it said it wasn't submitted or that it was incomplete. No, it was complete. And she makes sure it gets taken down that it was complete. And, you know, she handles all of that. But at the middle school, it's like I pardon my language, it's like a giant clusterfuck. It's like they have 2,200 students at that school, 2,300 students at that school. And I understand the teachers are bogged down and they can't check their email all the time. And they can't do this, they can't do that. I understand all that. But when you are getting to a point where your students are getting more and more depressed and don't want to deal with school, especially if they're a student like our daughter that loves school, then there's something wrong.
There is.
And I mean, distance learning isn't like homeschool. I'm just going to call it homeschooling because it's basically what it is.
Yeah.
Homeschooling is not for everybody. The homeschool teacher got fired on the first day when this whole corona stuff began because I went and bought a half-gallon margarita from work and proceeded to stick a straw in it like a Capri Sun and drink it. And that's no joke. Ask this one.
That's right. But I will agree with you. It is pretty much just homeschooling, and homeschooling is not for everybody. I When I was growing up as a kid, I am so thankful. Granted, I went to public school, and public school even back then was a dumpster fire. But at least you could get you. There are ways to go ahead and get the help and get the attention that is needed
And see,
one on one.
like with me, because I'm 5 years older than you. Even back when I was elementary, middle, high school, whatever. Homeschooling wasn't so technology based. Like you had paper stuff that you had to scan in and you still had that hard copy. But now everything is so technology based and so dependent on technology that it's ridiculous. It's like
It
if
does make it easier though.
if you yes, it makes it easier in one sense. But what I'd like to see if this is going to continue and be a long-term solution for COVID with these students all homeschooling is sending physical papers home on a like say they have 2 days in person like our kids were before. Sending those papers home that they're going to complete during the distance learning days and then the next time they're in, they can turn that all in. Which granted is a little crazy, but at least you have a hard copy and the students are doing their work.
I mean, the other thing that I could think to do is on the days that they actually have to go in, you set up like you give them homework to do throughout the week. So like ours, they go Tuesday and Friday.
Well, they were going Tuesday and Friday until shutdown again.
But what you would need what I think you should do is give them homework to do on those two to have done by those 2 days. So that way they can bring it in. Like give it to them on Tuesday, and then they have to turn it in on Friday, and then
But it's
then
odds and
the
evens.
live
Tuesday is odd and Friday is even, so you're not even in the same classes on those days. Turn
then
it in your next available class.
there are ways around that. If they're going to be at the school, so Tuesdays are odd or evens or whatever you said they were. I was not paying attention.
Odds on Tuesdays, evens on Friday.
But they're still inside the building for those for the next day that they're in, even if it is the opposite of it. So what you do is you have a mailbox set out and you have it sorted by like classes, yeah, periods, and you have it out and secured in an area that they can just put their work in there and then go on to their even class.
And that's a novel concept, except for the fact that you've got a-hole students that'll just jack up everybody else's work.
That's why I'm saying secure it.
And then B, everything is unidirectional. If you're in a hallway that you're not supposed to be on a day that you're not supposed to be there, you get into trouble. It's
So
all
you
one
have
giant racetrack. You can't.
so you have it set up right in the like right when you get on this racetrack, so to speak. Like right at the beginning or right at the end, or you can have three set up, beginning, middle, and end. It's not that difficult.
It's not. But it's one of those things that they argue against because, well, they're distance learning. They should be able to do this on the computer. They do work on the computer during in-person learning
With
and stuff like that.
that's what I'm getting. That's what I was getting to. The in-person learning days that are the digital days where they have live classes, have those set up for going over the homework that was given to them and going over classwork at the same time.
Yeah.
Have everything have your students be involved live while you're doing it. So that way you can watch the work being completed. It's it's
They're making it out to be harder than it actually is.
there are easier ways. There are easier ways. And
They have parent surveys where we can give our opinions about how things are going, what things we'd like to see changed and stuff. But even if you
they don't
submit
listen.
even if you submit suggestions, like you just said, they don't listen. They go with what the district recommends. But what the problem is the people at the district level have no sodding clue about what's going on in each of the schools. They know an idea, they know a generalization, but they don't know exactly what's going on. I mean, I've even talked to the IT guy for the district and told him, "Hey, this is what's going on with my kids' work." He said, just keep doing what you're doing. There's nothing really that we can do. It's an internet thing." And I'm just like, "Really?" So my kids are going to continue to fail their classes because their teachers are getting blank work even though they're submitting fully completed assignments?
No,
And
there
their
are.
only solution is to switch out their computers. If it's an internet problem, switching out their computers is not going to work.
Well, the problem, the thing about that is that instead of working to get it done, which will take longer to do, and I will fully admit, but instead of putting in the work to fix a problem, they're going the easy route, or they're taking the easy way out. You know, they're not. They're willing to. They are pretty much being forced to do more work in the after than taking care of it before it becomes a problem. It's they're not preventing a problem rather than reacting to a problem. And you should be, what's the word I'm looking for? You shouldn't be reactory. You should be more predictive. You take care of a problem before it becomes a problem and then it never exists. Instead, what they're doing is reacting to a problem rather than taking the time to fix it before it becomes a giant issue. And I mean, that's the biggest turnoff I have for this whole distance learning bullshit.
And that's the same with me. There's some issues that I have with it, but I understand and I fully support the decision to keep our children safe or safer because of this whole COVID thing. But at the same time, it's just like you need to be supportive of the parents and the students because there's people like us where I just had to quit my job so that I could make sure that the kids were checking in on time every day and doing their work. And some people can't do that. They can't afford to.
No, they can't. And yet, I mean, there was a story that came out of New Mexico where kid was sitting outside of, I think it was a Taco Bell.
Because of their free Wi-Fi.
Yeah.
Because they don't have access to Wi-Fi at home. And that's the thing. Like I told some of the other parents that I know of my kids' friends, that I have communication with. If there's ever a point in time where they don't have internet and they know that their kids need to be doing their work, let me know. I'll have a couple of kids over here. Make sure that they get their stuff done because if you can't afford internet or you don't have internet access, your kids are basically screwed,
Yep.
and it's not fair.
Nope.
It's the whole having having access to their education and the right to having access to their education, and it's not being provided.
We could talk about this all day. We
We
really,
honestly could.
really could. But I think we got to wrap this subject up. And I'm just gonna put it this way: I fucking hate distance learning. I
Distance learning sucks.
I like how it keeps my kids safe, but I hate distance learning. Plain and simple.
So, next subject. I don't know what's up next.
Really? That's your segue?
I don't
Jeez, you
know.
want to
No.
talk about you want to talk about having a circus? Let's talk about having a circus. Let's talk about having pandemonium and chaos and all that kind of stuff. Let's talk about cons, whether it's Comic Cons or E3 or E2C2 or C2E2, that kind of stuff. Let's talk about the craziness of people dressing up as comic book, movie, video game characters and
Whatever
and
your nerd
and
choice may be.
and and all that kind of stuff. You know, yeah, that segue sucked. All right, so ignoring that horrible segue, let's
Bite it.
let's get into our next topic, which is let's talk about Comic Cons and all of the different conventions that we have to miss out on in 2020 because of fucking COVID.
Well, they're all virtual this
You
year.
can go fuck yourself with that. I've actually never been to a con ever in my life, which sucks because I wanted to go to the Denver Comic Con last year, but I wasn't able to make it. One, because I had to work.
Too, because it's expensive.
It's expensive, yes.
Very expensive. We're talking 200 and some odd dollars for a 1-day ticket.
Yeah. Which would totally be worth it just to see some of the stuff on there if it wasn't for the fact that we had other stuff we had to take care of. Like, I don't know,
Rent.
and cell phones and insurance and food. Bless you.
Other adulting items.
Yeah. But we were missing out because people can't seem to.
I don't know, follow the rules.
Yeah, we're not going to go any further than that. But I've seen videos up on YouTube or up on Facebook or on Twitter, from people who attend them as customers and as paying individuals and stuff like that, and even some of the people who are on panels like Critical Role. Um, and I know we have a habit of mentioning those guys in pretty much every episode so far.
Because Critical Role is awesome. You should look them up on Twitch every Thursday.
But then you have other people like Sir Patrick Stewart, from when he was doing
Sir
Star
Ian
Trek.
McKellen.
Sir Ian well, yeah,
Magneto.
yeah. There's that.
Stuff.
And you have like Jack Black, and you have Ryan Reynolds every once in a while, or what was it?
Hands down is the funniest things are at San Diego when Deadpool goes around playing his.
Well, the guy is not actually Ryan Reynolds who's dressing up as it. Although if it
It's
was,
Deadpool.
if it was, it would not surprise me. But I've seen who's under that mask.
It's not flipping hysterical.
It's not Ryan Reynolds. But it looks like it's a lot of fun. It looks, you can get really cool merch stuff. You can get stuff that you normally autographs, stuff you normally wouldn't be able to get. Now, like I said, I have never been to one. Have you ever been to a convention?
I've been to a couple. One of them was when I was it was between 6th and 7th grade, and I was out in California with my Uncle Floyd, and he took me to TrekCon, which is, I don't know if any other nerds are listening, but yeah, Star Trek, everything Star Trek. And
The Next Generation is number one.
And I loved it. It was so much fun to see the different stuff, see
Captain
the different
Picard
characters.
is the most superior captain.
And I have met the man. He is very tall. Very tall.
He's actually really funny too.
And for somebody being like 12, 13 years old and having somebody that tall, you're like, oh, you're a lot taller in your life. Okay.
You are taller than what you seem on TV. Well, yeah, because your TV's only about yay big, and I am this tall. Not to steal a line from Mr. Ben Bailey, host of Cash Cab, who is also a stand-up comedian when he's not driving around.
Let's face it, he's a sitting comedian when he's driving around.
Oh yeah, he's funny either way. But yeah, sir, I've heard that Sir Patrick Stewart is hysterical. I mean, you watch Star Trek: The Next Generation, and you see some of it pop out every now and then. I've actually seen. I'm sure everybody has seen the meme where he's yelling about gophers destroying his lilies, and then pulls out a handgun and starts shooting into the gopher holes right where his lilies are.
Yeah, and I mean it's a lot of fun, but at the same time it's really crowded. And the best times to go is like the second day, because they're usually a 3-day convention. Go the second day, towards the middle of the afternoon, like 2, 3 o'clock.
Unless you find out that somebody that you really enjoy is doing a panel at another point in time.
Go. But it's just like if you're just gonna go there, not even for the panels, just for merch and checking things out, scoping things out for your first time at a con, that type of stuff. The second day is probably your best bet if you just want to go and take everything in because everybody is there, and where there may not be panels or special shows or special guests that you want to see, if you don't enjoy crowds that are that large, try the second day.
Well, this is like I said, this is all new. This is all new for me because I've never been to one. I've wanted to go to several. When I was younger, before I even came out here, when I was living back home, I had a friend of mine who lived in the next state. Yori. Me, her, Ruka, Ichi were all supposed to meet up and then drive up, road trip up to like I think it was like Rhode Island for a Comic Con up there. And we were gonna split rooms up, stuff like that. We didn't actually end up doing it because something happened, and I think it was fundage wise. We couldn't do it. Um, but I was really really looking forward to it. And then when the Critical Role guys were coming out for Comic Con last year or a year prior,
I think it was last year.
um, we were planning on going, and then stuff happened,
Adulting stuff.
and we weren't able to actually to make it. But we did have one of our former friends make it, and she was bragging the entire time, and I wanted to drop kick somebody in the face, but I didn't.
One of the best ways too that you can go to con is anywhere in the world that there's a con, they are always looking for volunteers. And little secret, volunteers get free tickets. Just saying.
I know. But at the same time, it's like you have to sign up for it a year in advance, bare minimum, because they get so many requests, or application to volunteer. And as much as I would love to go to one, even if it is for free, that's a lot of work that I would prefer not to do. Well, I am all about conservation of energy here, yo. Why do you think I'm as big as I am?
Because of my good cooking, that's why.
I mean, there's that too. Um, but no, it's like I would love to go to one of these things. It seems, granted, I am not a people person. I do not deal with crowds very well, but I think I would be able to handle it just for the simple fact of going to one, getting a bunch of stuff that you can't get anywhere else.
But the bottom line question is, who would you dress up as?
Me.
I'd dress you up as the fluffy
Nope.
pink
Me.
dude from Dragon Ball.
Nope. Me. I would go as me. You could not get me in a Majin Buu costume.
That'd be hysterical.
It would be.
I would Oogie Boogie.
I would go as Oogie Boogie before I'd go as Majin Buu.
Because you don't like the color pink.
Light red? No, it's not that. It's a lot of latex. Because Majin Buu has that little tentacle thing on the top of his head.
Hey, is that a weapon in your pocket? Or are you happy to see me?
Well, no, it's if you look at it from the show version or the show perspective, that tentacle on the top of his head is actually what he uses to change people into candy so he can eat them.
Yeah, I know, but it's still funny.
It's not. You're dirty, nasty. You need to keep them thoughts to yourself.
I was talking about the noodle on his head.
Yeah, okay. But no, if I was to go as anybody, I'd go as Oogie Boogie or one of the bigger people because I'm very self conscious about staying true, for me at least, staying true to how a character's aesthetics.
Well, see, and the funny thing is you're talking about aesthetics and the character's aesthetics and staying comfortable with yourself. I was watching footage from a couple of different places that had taken video at the Denver Comic Con, and there was a guy that, no joke, made you look small, dressed in a Deadpool costume, pushing around a chimichanga cart. I mean, that was That was great.
That's because Deadpool exists across multiple universes and in multiple forms and in multiple shapes. I mean, there's Deadpool, there's uh Lady Deadpool, there's Kid Deadpool. I mean, there are multiple versions of him that he has
Kind of like
interacted with.
Spider-Man.
Well, yeah, but he's actually interacted with them. There was actually one comic book series where he kills everybody in the Marvel universe and then hops, he hops across the multiverse and runs into all of these different Deadpools and actually forms a team consisting solely of Deadpool.
But you dressed as Deadpool pushing a chimichanga cart. That'd be awesome.
Maybe. But no, it's I am very, if I'm gonna be a character, I want to be that character in its entirety. Ugh. Like, it's staying true to how it looks. Now, granted, there are probably plenty of people out there who are like, it doesn't matter, be proud. If you're gonna be this person, as long as you are enjoying yourself and as long as you did your best, yada yada, it doesn't matter. You are correct. However, it is a personal preference. It's not for a lack of being confident. It is a personal preference that I would prefer to do the character justice.
You cut the asshole part down. Let's face that.
For what?
Deadpool.
I'm not talking. We have moved past that. But no, like I've thought about some of the animes that I used to slash still watch. Like Ichigo. I would love to play that, or Renji from Bleach. Or going into Naruto. Gara. Going into
Oh, Ruby. Who would you go for if you were dressing as somebody from Ruby?
Ruby. I would definitely go for Roman.
Roman?
Mm-hmm.
Who could you see me going as?
Neo.
I couldn't stay quiet long enough, though.
I know, which sucks. You'd be great as Neo, except you talk.
Yeah.
But like even some of the more obscure ones, like Eureka 7, they're not really obscure, but not like a lot of people that
Castlevania.
a lot of
Another one
people
that people don't watch a whole lot.
a lot of people that I've talked to have never heard of Eureka 7. I'm not real big on Gundam stuff or like giant robot mech suits. I liked Eureka 7. I would not know who to go for as that. Probably one of the big mechs. I would be like the Nirvash or something like that. Castlevania is a great one. I would definitely go as uh, God, I can't remember his name. Dude with the whip, Simon Belmont. I would definitely go as that. Or I mean, even going back to like, I don't know, one of the first animes I've ever watched, Cowboy Bebop.
God,
I love that show. The music, the whole reason why I
Music is
loved it,
great.
the whole reason why I loved it was because of the music. That was great. Samurai
Champloo.
Samurai Champloo.
God.
Another great one.
That's another one that people don't. People look at me cross-eyed and twist their head to the side like I'm speaking some foreign language or something when I say that.
But I'd want to go as Majin. Yeah, or not Majin, Mugen. I'm getting two animes mixed up. But I'd want to go as Mugen, but I don't have the body type to do it. I could maybe go as like Mugen from like 50 years in the future when he got really lazy and fat. But then it's like,
I say you go as Alzheimer's Batman. I'll hide the Batman costume in our closet, so when you're older and lose your mind, what's left of it anyway, and lose your memory, Alzheimer's kicks in, you go, oh, I'm Batman.
I'm Batman. I'm somebody. I just don't remember who.
Speaking of weebs, if you hear somebody coming over here and talking, that would be our oldest.
I am not a weeb. I'm a weeaboo. Get it right.
Thank you for proving my point, Weeb.
Our point exactly.
No, I I would want to do these characters right by what it is. And I look out, I watch these videos and I see like bigger people playing skinnier characters or cosplaying as these skinnier characters. And I'm like, yo, that is dope. That is a great thing to do. I'm not knocking you. It's just for me, I wouldn't be able to do it. It is a very huge selfish personal
Perspective.
not perspective, personal preference. Very, very selfish personal preference. I don't care if anybody else does it. If anybody else does it, that's great. Great. You look great. You did great. You did your makeup great. You have the props great. You look awesome. Me, I am too self-conscious. I'd look at myself and be like, I should not be doing this right now. And
See, and that's me. Like there are several characters that I would like to go as, but some of them are pretty scantily clad, and A, you would kill people,
yeah,
and B, I would look like the pregnant version of them because I got the gut now.
well, that's because of my cooking. Or actually, my cooking and actually making you eat actual food.
Well, long story short, I was very sick for a very long time, and once I had surgery, when they finally listened to me, I put on double my body weight. So now I weigh 170 pounds. Before, I only weighed 84. So yeah. And then the doctor tells me I need to lose weight, and I'm like, no.
Anyways, but no, it's a. I'm very self conscious about my appearance, so I wouldn't want to.
You are my fluffy sweet potato. Leave him alone.
I would not want to go ahead and, for me, do an injustice to a character. If somebody else does it, that's I love it. You know,
You just can't see yourself doing it. 'Cause
Yeah.
you'd feel bad for doing an injustice to that character.
or a perceived injustice by me. Now, it's I know it's a circle logic argument, but if I see somebody else playing that character and they don't look identical or they haven't done everything to be as close to it, it doesn't matter. Like for me, I don't care if somebody my size decides that they want to play, Cloud Strife from Final Fantasy VII. I don't care if somebody else does it because they're doing their best to look their best, to be their best, to do the character the best way that they can.
And another thing that,
But I couldn't do it.
and see, another thing that I'd like to point out, and this is something that people that are protesting, yes, there are protesters at these things.
Westboro Baptist.
Yeah, people like Westboro Baptist Church and other people that don't like people cross dressing and stuff like that. Dude, I have seen some males that can pull off a female character better than most females
Oh yeah.
can pull off that character.
Oh yeah.
And I know some men that can do better makeup, like Rob Power from one of the groups on Facebook. Dude, that dude can do some makeup,
Mhm.
but people are ragging on them because they're having fun. They're having a blast. They may.
You're not conforming to societal standards.
And see, and the thing is like, whereas normally they may not be like that. They just want to go as an off the wall character for con. Cool. I know somebody that's a male that dressed up as what is her name?
I don't know.
I think he went as
What is it from?
from Ruby. What's Ruby's sister? My
Yang.
brain. Went as Yang. And dude looked good. That was Dashel, by the way.
I can see it.
Dashel.
We
went
love you,
as
Dash.
Yang.
We love you, Dash. I
Yeah.
miss you.
Like I could see a bunch of different guys that could pull off these female characters.
And the other way around too. There's a bunch of females that can pull off these male
Exactly.
characters fantastically. They don't get anything said to them.
Actually, now it's more along the lines of everybody's getting something said to them. Whether it's females playing male parts, males playing female parts.
Why?
Or-
Why? If you enjoy a character, you shouldn't have any. It should not be. If
It shouldn't
as a
matter
male,
what parts you have.
no, as a male, you shouldn't just enjoy male characters. As a female, you shouldn't just have to enjoy female characters.
And then the people that take their kids to
If-
these
well-
and all dress up as a family, they're getting things said to them about bringing their children into satanic rituals. And, dude, have you seen some of the shows that these people watch? No, you're watching more satanic shit than people going to con are.
And there are some characters out there that, they are non-binary. They are, trans. They don't feel comfortable in their own skin, so they dress up. Like a perfect example of this. In High School DxD, there's a character that's named Gasper. Gasper is one of the main character's boss, peerage or family. Gasper is a male, but they dress up they dress up as a female. So we're talking like the Japanese schoolgirl, outfits that if they dress up, they're wearing like the poofy dresses, and you have that, but it shouldn't be like, why can't we as people, instead of jumping directly into nah, 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 societal standards, dude, shut up. Is it bothering you? Are they coming up and accosting you and bothering you? No, you're actually doing it to them. Leave them the fuck alone.
And there's also another one. I don't remember the name of the anime. Uh, a guy wanted to go to this magical school, but it was for girls, and he dressed up as a girl so he could go to this school. And then eventually he was found out, and they kicked him out. But a bunch of the girls band together, and then he was allowed. He was the only boy allowed in. So it was this whole.
I know which one you're talking about.
Yeah.
I can't remember it either.
But it's.
And then you have Then you have Orin Host Club. This girl breaks a vase, has to pay for it, doesn't have the money because she does not come from a wealthy family. And then, so what do? They're like, okay, be a host, but you have to be a male, or you have to present yourself as a male. And she does until she gets found out. But regardless, if you're going to a Comic-Con, enjoy it. Don't sit there and
You do you, boo boo.
Don't stand out there and be like, yeah, the devil. Go inside. Talk to some people. You might find something that sparks an interest. Don't just accuse people of and accost people, whether it's physically, which I've seen, or verbally, which I've also seen.
And I mean, the thing is like, if half these people that are protesting would actually go inside these things, they're gonna be like, oh, okay.
Well, this satanic ritual is actually it's pretty cool.
They'll see.
Oh shit! I'm going to hell.
They'll see representatives from shows there that they used to watch when they were kids, or as adults, like Star Trek. Even Comic Cons have Star Trek people there, and
I don't understand the Westboro Baptists. I really don't. That can be a conversation for another time. I just don't understand it. Like, I don't understand them going ahead and being like, oh, Comic Con's working the devil.
Protesting military people's funerals. That pisses me off.
That right there is a great segue into our next topic, which is Veterans Day. Veterans Day here in the United States was November 11th. Also happens to be my brother's birthday.
Remembrance Day is I believe everywhere else in the world, but it's also November 11th. I know England and Canada and Australia. I believe Australia. Not 100% sure. But they all do Remembrance Day.
But Veterans Day was on the 11th, 2 days ago. And for me, it's always a difficult time. Mainly because
we both served in the military.
Yeah. That mainly because I was only in I did serve in, the United States Navy. I was in for 2 years, and I got medically separated or admin separated, one of the two. I don't remember. I can't find my DD 214. But I got a honorable separation. And all I really did while I was in was I looked at pictures of ice from space, watching the North and South polar ice cap, icebergs, ice islands, and shipping lanes to it. Where I was stationed at, it was formed after the events of the Titanic, to prevent another one from happening.
And that's a huge job because the commerce thing too. I mean, you've got commerce travel and stuff like that. So that was a very important job. Whereas I was injured literally the last day of basic training, right before our final PT test, and they sent me home because I cracked my shoulder.
I just don't feel like I've done anything.
Just because you didn't serve in a war, and yes, this is a constant argument between us. Just because you didn't serve in a war doesn't mean that you're not valuable as a veteran.
But we have here in the United States, we have a lot of veteran programs. You got the VA. There's another one that I can't remember. I know it starts with a D. I think it's DVA or
Disabled Veterans of America. It's a veteran run secondhand store, like a thrift shop.
yeah, DVM. I think is another one. You have Operation Supply Drop.
You also have places like the Inglewood Elks, the Elks Lodge here that does Siltrus Angels once a month.
Yeah, didn't you just get back from doing something from down there?
Yeah, that's why there's kind of a break in between our sections because I went and I helped
Well, no,
out
the way
for
that
a minute.
the way that I do these is there
Yeah.
is no break.
But yeah, we
The
actually
reason
had a
why it
little
was
bit of a
delayed.
yeah. The reason why it's delayed being put up and stuff like that is because I took a few to go help out down there, and I actually found out while I was there that a veteran needed a ride home with all of his food because it's a food bank for strictly veterans, and I took him home so that he didn't have to wait for a taxi or a Lyft because the Lyft app was being jacked up. So, that's that's another program that helps out.
And we need that, and this is something that we need, and I could talk about this forever. So I'm going to start off by saying thank you for all of those here and other countries, who have served or who are actively serving right now. Thank you. It doesn't matter to me if you're full time, if you're a reservist, it doesn't matter. You are still signing your life away on a blank check for to help defend this country.
Some of the greatest military people I know are reservists, so that doesn't matter.
Granted, how the reservists were being used here recently in the last couple of months is a load of bullshit. Um, but still, thank you from the bottom of my heart. One veteran to another. Thank you. I honestly believe that we really need to do more. Not just because I am one.
Sorry, but the United States is failing the veterans. That is
They
my
really are.
honest opinion. When you have to wait 7, 8, 9 months to get in for a mental health evaluation, yeah, that's happening to us.
Or when you have to wait, 3 months in order to get in for a physical, or
They refuse to pay for your surgery on an injury that you got while in the military, and now you got a $3,000 bill, but that's another story.
you have these veterans that are out on the street right now, homeless because they're not being taken care of.
That right there is one of the hardest things for me to see as veterans on the streets because they gave everything, absolutely everything to protect and serve this country. And here we are, we can't even help them keep a roof over their head. That
Food in their stomach,
bullshit.
water, a warm place to be, actual clothes. We can't do this for them, but we can go ahead and spend millions of dollars on like a TV show about people who really shouldn't be as big as they are.
Kardashians.
Thank you. Um,
Please do not keep up with the Kardashians.
I just wish that some of our veterans, all of our veterans, honorable, could get the help that they deserve. Now, are there some that were
Big chicken dinners.
yeah, yeah. I had I had somebody in my family got BCD
Which big chicken dinner is bad conduct discharge.
because they punched their superior officer.
Stuff like that. No, you do not deserve to be honored.
My sperm donor got an other than because he bounced too many checks. And he has the ability, or he had the ability, I don't know if he still does, mainly because I want nothing to do with him, to go ahead and get it changed to an honorable discharge if they just wanted to do the paperwork, and he didn't want to. So he's not getting anything. But at this, there are some that, yeah, you messed up. You got
You make your bed, you lie in it.
yeah. But there are a lot of people who are out on the streets right now, or they need help and they're suffering in silence because they feel the same way I do. You know, and the ones who are out on the street, it's like, why are we not taking care of these guys? Why are we not taking care of?
Why as a society, are we choosing to ignore the people who need our help the most?
We help out those who don't need it. Like I saw, I don't know, a couple months ago, close to a year ago, there was actually a GoFundMe put up to help one of the Jenners, one of the Kardashians, to become a billionaire.
Like,
And I'm
really,
like,
people?
Really? Why don't we go ahead and maybe put this money to good? Why don't we go ahead and help out the people who need it? The low income families, the veterans that are suffering, that need the help.
One of the greatest ideas that I saw, and somebody was floating it around, and I hope that at some point it comes to fruition, is that somebody starts a GoFundMe to build a tiny home community specifically for veterans that are experiencing homelessness, something to get them back on their feet. You know, granted, it's not the biggest place in the world because they're tiny homes, but at least they'll have a roof over their head. And that is one of the biggest things is if we would stop concentrating so much on people that have money and have the means to support themselves, like the Kardashians or other movie stars and football players and sports in general,
Political figures.
political figures, things like that. If we stop concentrating on providing them more,
Or
we
we
could
stop paying
provide
attention.
we could provide things for our veterans. Granted, I don't do a lot to help our veterans, but today giving one vet a ride home, the tears in his eyes, and the fact that he tried to give me his last $20 for gas, which I did not accept. You know, it's like why can't we do that more? And one of the things that I was asked today is if I would be willing to come down to Soldiers Angels and give the 3 or 4 veterans a ride home that don't have vehicles or don't have transportation. And it's like, hell yeah.
We have the means. We have the ability to.
I have the time.
I don't do a whole lot either. Mainly because I work frequently.
A lot.
But when I can, I try to. Like I remember when I was down in Mississippi, and even when I was out in DC, I helped out a lot with Habitat for Humanity. I love that charity. I helped out a lot with the USO. I love that charity. Those two I would
Do in a heartbeat.
yeah. But I can remember the look of happiness and of pride and of thankfulness from these people. You brought up that story. I had a very similar idea of something that I wanted to do, but that is for later down the road because would need to get everything that would need to happen set up.
And see, and one of the other things is like, one of the more recent things that you've done. Like we had gotten something to eat and we had gotten a couple extra things, so we had extra for late night snack or whatever. And when we were living out in Aurora, and that homeless vet that was sitting on the side of the road and hadn't eaten in 2 days, and we gave him the extra burritos that we had bought. And even just a small contribution like that, these people are so thankful for what they get.
And it shouldn't be that way.
No, it shouldn't. One of the first priorities that we have is to our children. But our second priority as far as people should be our veterans,
Yeah.
because a lot of them do have families that they don't get to see because, well, they don't have the means to see them. There are veterans out here that are homeless that I was seeing all the time when I was working at Texas Roadhouse or at at King Supers or wherever I was working, that would come by and ask for a glass of water, or they would ask for a soda or something to eat, and you'd find out that they hadn't seen their children in months, years even, because their significant other had to go provide for them somewhere else, or they left because they couldn't deal with it. With
Or they got taken.
Because they didn't have a home. Well, if you would actually help veterans,
If the government would actually help veterans out, if we were to go ahead and actually put as much attention into
programs for our veterans.
helping our veterans out, this wouldn't be a problem. There are other countries that, yeah, they are mandated to serve in their,
Like,
nations.
take Korea,
Which one? South Korea?
North Korea. They have to serve 2 years in their military. Every male
Well,
has
no,
to
that's
serve.
South Korea.
South Korea does it too.
Well, no, South Korea allows you to actually get out.
Yeah.
North Korea, on the other hand, but like in some of these other countries, yeah, they are required to serve, but once they get out, they get taken care of. They get set up with while they're in, they get set up with training for what they want to do and get the schoolwork done, or they at least get like the door open.
They get homes after they're done serving. Like,
And yet we can't do that here.
we're supposed to be the greatest country in the world, and we had this discussion in our first episode that we are no longer the greatest country in the world. There are so many other countries around the world that are providing for children, providing for families, providing for their veterans, that you take a step back and look at the US, and what are we doing? Twiddling our thumbs and giving all of our money to sports ball players.
Oh no, don't get me wrong. I agree with you. I Don't get me wrong when I say this. We love this country. We really do. I would not want to be anywhere else in the world as a citizen.
We need to do better.
We need to do better. We really do. We need to take care of those who are unable to take care of themselves or they need help to take care of themselves. We need to do more for our veterans
We need to
for
do right by our
yeah,
veterans.
that too. We need to do all this stuff for them, and yet instead of investing money into helping our veterans out and all of that, no, what are we doing? We are building stadiums, or we're bailing out big businesses or banks or stuff like that. Just
And
because,
some of those play an integral part of our society, but we shouldn't put precedent on them before our own people.
but yet we do, and it doesn't. It
It's
does.
it's sad.
We shouldn't have to sit there and have to call attention or have attention called to helping out these people when we're sitting there giving billions of dollars to these companies that don't need it. You get what I'm saying?
Yes. And part of me is like, yeah, great stimulus package where we got X amount of money because of COVID. That's great and all. But what about the people that couldn't claim that? What about the veterans, the homeless veterans, the people that don't have an address or don't have a job, so they can't file taxes, so they weren't eligible? That's where the disconnect is.
Hmm.
When they said every American be eligible, they really didn't mean every American.
Yeah. It's take care of each other. It seems like every episode we always have that in there too. Take care of each other, love each other.
We end on that note. every time.
Well, it's a good note to end on. You know, tying it back in. If we were to take care of our veterans and we were to take care of these people, this wouldn't be an issue. But yet, it is.
And one of the biggest things, that I constantly think about is, okay, we have a lot of these homeless veterans that need jobs, that need stability, that need some help. And one of the things that I constantly think about is, you know, what about all these school shootings? Okay, you've got those you've got homeless vets that need a job. I can guarantee you, every single one of them would lay down their life to protect our students, our kids.
And they would have better training than some of the police officers.
Yeah. I mean, you're talking career military people that have no home, no job, and we've got thousands of schools across the U.S. that need people to stand
Security.
there and be security, basically, and they're trained in weaponry. Guarantee you, ain't
We
one.
all have to get like when you're in and you're in boot camp. Doesn't matter what boot camp you're in, Army, Navy, Marines, Air Force, Coast Guard, it does not matter. You get trained to handle firearms. You get trained in self defense.
Non-lethal techniques,
Yeah.
everything. And we've got these veterans that would be more than happy to take a 9 to 5, Monday to Friday, summers off job that helps protect our kids.
And yet,
And yet nobody's keen on the idea.
bottom line, very bottom line, take care. We need to do better with taking care of our veterans. We need to do better with taking care of those who need help. And that's not just here. That's everywhere.
Across the board.
You need to take care of those who need help. Even if it's just one act of kindness a day, you go ahead and you help. And it doesn't even have to be like you give this person food or you give this person money. No, even if it's just like, oh, hey, you need a hand opening the door? Cool, I got you. Hey, you need some help getting some stuff inside? Cool, I got you. Hey, you need help grabbing this can from the top shelf because you're too short to reach it? Ahem. Hey, I got you. You know, hey, you need help bringing your trash cans down to the end of the street. I got you. I'll take care of it. I'll help you mow your lawn. I'll help you shovel your sidewalks and your
Like,
driveway in
I
the
mean,
winter. I'll help you rake your leaves up.
we're doing our part partially in teaching our children to do this as well. And I mean, our kids, one of our neighbors down the hall in the same building, struggles to take her trash out. She uses a walker. Anytime my kids hear that walker coming down the hallway, they're out the door and helping her get her trash out. Like, that's one of those things that, small acts of kindness. And then a week goes by and she brings us homemade German snacks,
Yep.
desserts, and and still to this day she is like, "Hey, do you guys need anything?" "No, we're good. How about you? You need help taking out the trash?" "Oh no, I'm good. I'll take it out later."
Give me your bag.
And then, like, the boys will go down and they'll help her get her trash out. Small things like that. Even teach your children to make the world a better place than it is today. Seriously.
We can solve all the world problems in the future now.
Teaching our children to be kind to each other.
And where are they going to learn it from? You, from watching you. Yeah, that song, Private Eyes, watching you. You have people watching you.
And the old adage of "don't do as I do, do as I say" is great and all, but there are some things that we do want our children to follow in our footsteps. We do want our children to, you know, saying half the stuff we say, not so much.
Yeah.
Doing things for others and helping others and teaching them to give instead of receive. We want our society to be better that way. We want our children to learn these
So I guess to wrap this up, because we've been on for probably
things. Hour
close
and
to
15 minutes.
a little over an hour now. Just to wrap things up, and we're gonna end it the way that we have the last,
Couple
couple weeks, and I want to make this a staple for this podcast. Love each other. Be kind.
And
Don't be a
most-
dick.
And most of all, don't be a dick.
Seriously. Love one another regardless. If you don't understand them, have a conversation. Talk with them. If you don't agree with what they do, that's fine. You don't have to.
Our differences is what makes
But
us good.
love each other regardless. Be kind. Help
Don't-
others.
and
Don't be a dick. We'll talk to y'all next week. We love you. And yeah.
Have fun.
Bye.